Hello and welcome to the first episode of season 2, which is dubbed the PropTech season of Golden Nuggets with Silvia Eldawi. I'm your host, and today I am joined by Ayman Alashkar, who is the founder and CEO of overwrite.ai, which is the only artificial intelligence PropTech company, which is part of the NVIDIA Inception program from the MENA region. And he was the head of real estate at Emirates MBD Bank.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on here.
It's great to be here. I'm looking forward to our chat.
Bants.
Yes, our banter.
Shoot the breeze.
Exactly.
We'll try not to chat Bear Breeze, but
we can chat as much Bear Breeze as you like.
but we're going to keep it AI focused. We are thrilled to have you here. We're going to take a deep dive into AI and share our insights with real estate agents. And some of these products I'm using, I'm not a real estate agent, but I'm using them and I'm happy to be sharing them with everyone. Now, AI has kind of only really come on people's radar since ChatGPT came out in, was it April 23, I think?
No, November 2022.
Was it last year? Okay.
ChatGPT went viral in around November 2022, yeah.
Okay, so it's now making waves in various industries. Yes, you're very vocal about mutton dressed up as lamb, companies parading as AI when they're not. Maybe they're using some parts of AI, but how do you think AI will impact the real estate sector in general?
Firstly, I think that let's define the real estate industry, because there is a misconception that the real estate industry is residential property and the buying and selling of that residential property, as well as the building and development of it. But the real estate industry is a far larger industry. It's an asset class, right? Real estate is like any other commodity. It's like gold or stocks or bonds. It's an asset.
Tell us about the birth of Overwrite then, how that came.
The first product that we developed was a generative AI system that writes listing descriptions for residential real estate agents, right? So the idea was, at the time, what problem can we solve that has a global audience? Residential real estate is a universal asset class, right? It's something that everywhere humans exist, there's residential real estate that we live in, that we occupy. And it's therefore transacting, whether it's leasing or selling, it's transacting. And to facilitate those transactions, there are estate agents who are literally writing descriptions of the properties they're marketing in order to then publish them, post them, generate leads from them, sell them, lease them.
And I remember that used to take up I was a real estate agent before the internet, I think. No, just after the internet. And half of our day would be spent writing these descriptions of properties. And of course, we'd use words like
flowery
fantastic
language.
And, bright and spacious. That was Absolutely. A common one. And, you won't believe it until you see it, that kind of
that kind of hedonic use of language, that flowery language, is not natural to a lot of people, just because they enter the residential real estate agency game. So it's not as easy for many as it might be for some. Those for whom it is easy for, as well as those for whom it's not, are therefore spending time writing manually these descriptions. And if you think about how frequently they're being written around the world, in every residential real estate market out there, that's a lot of time wasted. Yeah. So what AI is, and its application and the solution that we set about building for this particular problem in real estate, AI is, in its nature, it's a tool by which to augment human capabilities. It's not there to replace anybody in their work. It is there to enable high volume, error-prone tasks to be performed more effectively, more efficiently, so that we can then, as humans, focus on higher value tasks. True. So in the estate agent's context, what is the higher value task?
Selling, meeting clients, being out
networking, viewings, closing, negotiating, all of that. Not writing a listing description and spending time thinking about how to write it. So we automated that task. And that's the first of a product suite that Overwrite is building, using various types of AI that we create to solve for problems within real estate. There are going to be more products coming out, and this is a plug, but I'm not going to go into it too much. But that's the first out of the stables.
Okay, so it's called, what is it, predictive, generative?
That one, so artificial intelligence has very different has different guises, but that particular one is generative AI. It's essentially a form of natural language understanding and generation. But again, for real estate agents, look, I'm going to go into this because it's important. For real estate agents, what they really need to understand is focus on higher value tasks. Do not be afraid of any technology, whether it's ours or others, that
is there to replace you.
Is labeled AI. Because it's not there to replace you.
No, but when I think of AI, I think of robots. I think of, futuristic movies where robots are going to take over. So there might be that reluctance.
Do you really?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
I do.
I know you off camera. No, you don't.
I just think kind of futuristic technology, not quite here yet, but set to replace.
So AI is one of those suitcase words. You can pack a lot of different meanings and definitions into it. But best way to think about AI is like a three-legged bar stool or a tripod, right? So you have one leg that is natural language understanding and generation, essentially how we process, understand, and speak human languages, right? That's one form of AI. Another is machine learning, how you get data to be processed by algorithms that can kind of self-learn what to do with that data.
So that's like recycling other data that's already out there on the internet.
Well, not necessarily, because there are means by which you can synthesize data. You can take some data, feed it into an algorithm, and then it creates more data that trains itself upon. But yes, it starts with a data lake that is somewhere out there, whether it's the internet or in the private domains of certain enterprises and whatnot. Yes, that's machine learning. And the third leg is, like you said, is robotics. So it's the application of either of the other two to some kind of physical, tangible machinery, whether it's anthropomorphic and looks like humans in order to kind of make it relatable to us, or whether it's utterly, in appearance totally different, but it takes physical form. So you're applying, natural language processing and machine learning to a physical, tangible.
Yeah, and like there are, of course, everyone's using chatbots. That's quite common. There's another one that was super impressive. I saw it on LinkedIn a while ago. I can't remember which company. I think it was one of the car manufacturers, where they actually have a fake machine having a full-blown conversation with a customer, and he didn't even know he was talking to a machine. But this machine was emotional. It had feelings. It was empathetic. It was holding a conversation. There was a slight delay, but that could eventually be used in lead generation. It's not here yet. No one's doing it, but
that's a form of, so a chatbot is a form of natural language processing, right? It's a large language model. ChatGPT is a chatbot interface skinned over a large language model that is, in this case, the GPT framework. 3.5 is the last iteration. I think 4.0 is coming out now. And it's advancing at rapid scale. We can go into the quite boring discussion around the size of these things and how they cannot grow ad infinitum in the parameter set into perpetuity, but we're not going to go there, right? Let's stick to what you were talking about, which is that chatbot, certainly at lead management, customer service, customer facing, at the point of customer service and customer facing roles, there is a need for us to lay down a first line of defense and allow some artificially intelligent programming to step in and remove some of the legwork from us as human beings, whether we're in real estate agency, whether in any other type of customer service environment. Let some of that lead management be handled by intelligent automation, so that the humans can focus, like I said, on higher value tasks.
What they do best. So there are a lot of applications out there now that deal with customer inquiries. You've got predictive analytics. You've got virtual property tours powered by AI. But we're going to talk about what specifically real estate agents can use today. What is out? What is happening? What is available for the real estate agent? Let's start with ChatGPT, because that's, I think, everyone has had a play around with that, seen how amazing it is, how it can just You can all of a sudden become an author or a journalist through ChatGPT. But I've got my opinions on it, and I use ChatGPT.
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
For inspiration, but I will never publish ChatGPT output. I put my own spin on things.
Yep.
I weave my language into it. But I see a lot of people just copy pasting blindly.
Do you?
Yep. And it's so obvious when it's a ChatGPT, mostly on LinkedIn, like LinkedIn posts. I see ChatGPT articles.
Yeah, we were talking about one earlier today, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can just identify it especially if you know the person and you know that's not, maybe English isn't their first language, but all of a sudden
the pen is mightier than the sword, but over the last 20 years or so, certainly with the millennial generation and then Gen Z that came after them, there's been more of a focus on the use of social media, imagery, iconography to articulate ourselves. Now, we've been communicating using the written word and the spoken word since time immemorial. For that to now have been kind of replaced, not replaced, but maybe that's the wrong word. Kind of combined with visual and iconographic communication mediums, emojis and whatnot, GIFs or GIFs. I don't know how to pronounce those ones.
I call it a GIF.
A GIF, all right. Yeah, all that kind of thing. Even when we're trying to say something like, let me know, we're abbreviating down to LMK. So our use of the written word over the last 2 decades or so has weakened, okay? At the same time, we are racing to incorporate new technologies and advancements in society into our language. So we're inventing words and creating terminologies and phrases. So for people, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't just limit the use of ChatGPT and its benefits to those for whom English isn't the first language. Anybody can and should use it. But like you said, be mindful of what it is.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that artificial intelligence is, one of the downsides, one of the pitfalls of artificial intelligence is that it can hallucinate, which basically means that AI can make things up. Okay? It's how it does so we can dive into if you want. Again, I don't want to be accused of being boring because you've already done that in minute 1 of this. So what hallucination making things up can result in is just misrepresentation. So if you're relying on it, as you said, indiscriminately, you are at risk of misrepresenting that which you're trying to write about.
And it takes away your authenticity.
It certainly blands things out because it's pulling from generic data and trying to deliver to you something that you may or may not want a bit more nuanced, And so it does take away from your authenticity, absolutely, but it also may go further than that and take away from the actual factual accuracy of what it is you're writing about.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. I mean, I sat with a friend of mine and we asked ChatGPT, I think version 3.5, to suggest to us the top 10 best-selling self-help books out there. And it did. And it gave us the names and the authors of bang, 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 bang. And then we told it to please describe one of them. Brief synopsis. What's it about? And it actually wrote back, I'm sorry, I can't do that because I made it up. That book doesn't exist. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Had somebody gone and used the initial response, that list of 10
and posted it on LinkedIn,
for example.
Yeah.
Okay. Or worse, had they gone and cited it in some kind of academic study or something. There are repercussions to AI hallucination. So like you said, don't rely on it indiscriminately. Fact check it, prompt it correctly. And prompting is an important one because making it to enhance the accuracy of the output that ChatGPT or any other large language model can give you, you need to give it the correct input prompts. And one of the things that we did with Overwrite for our real estate agency users, because we knew we were building a product for estate agents. We built it way before ChatGPT came into the frame. We built a generative AI that was for a specific use case where estate agents can't run the risk of misrepresenting the property they're marketing, saying that it's bright when it's dim, saying that it's large when it's pokey. So in order to eliminate that hallucination risk for our estate agency customers, we kind of controlled the prompting of our generative AI product in order to guide and handhold the user, the estate agent, through a process where they're giving it correct information so that there's zero chance of it spitting back a description that is false or misrepresentational, gets them in trouble later down the line. And that's one of the things that I I'm a strong advocate of with, especially with generative AI, is that hallucination risk in prompt engineering. It's a bit science and art. Having been in those trenches for a few years, I can see it firsthand, the downside risk of using generative AI indiscriminately without really kind of, like you said, kind of tweaking it or repurposing it once it's been produced.
But what can real estate agents use ChatGPT for? I mean, they can use overwrite to write the descriptions, but ChatGPT should be in their toolkit.
Yeah.
Give us some examples.
I think where I've found it useful is, and I'm not an estate agent, but where I found it useful is in kind of just getting the brain juices flowing, if you will, taking it over from there. So it like I said at the beginning, it augments our capabilities as humans, but it doesn't replace them. We are the source of creativity and the actual creators of the content that GPT was trained on. And therefore, it's giving back to us some of that creativity and content. But we don't go and must not go relying on it. What we should do is use it to, again, inspire creativity and take over and layer on top of it our own. So an estate agent coming along, obviously they can use overwrite as much as they like for the particular purpose it's built for. But an estate agent looking to use generative AI can...
well, they can use it to kind of position themselves as a thought leader. If they're writing articles on LinkedIn.
They can, but it's going to give them kind of uniform, bland, consistent positioning pieces. Yeah. They're all going to start sounding the same if they're not careful.
Yeah. If they don't edit them and put their own flavor to it. Yeah,
so that's model collapse risk. That's in the industry. That's called a symptom of the model collapsing. A large language model that basically trains itself on the same, on a certain set of data, will then, if used at scale, spits out content that is then used as the input, the data input upon which to train it further. And so it starts to become cyclical. So you start to get the model doing the same thing over and over, and it's really not benefiting anybody. And so everyone kind of gets blanded out and standardized. And we've seen media talk about that. We've seen thought pieces on that. I think, going back to your original question about estate agents, what they can use ChatGPT for, use it to inspire, use it to perhaps curate something that you've written. Do not use it to create something that you want to write.
And you can use it as well for, I'm big on real estate agents using social media. Sometimes when you're writing captions, you need a bit of inspiration. So I think ChatGPT is great for identifying hashtags, drafting the first draft of your Instagram caption or TikTok caption. And you can tell it, write an Instagram caption for, an image.
Yeah, look, a caption is what? It's a sentence at most, right? So it's going to be less than 10 sentences. You can't go wrong with asking it to do that. The minute you start to ask it to write lengthier content for you, you might as well spend the same amount of time that you would have otherwise spent writing it, curating what it gives you. So there's a bit of an inefficiency. The more you ask it to give you, the more you're going to have to put in at the input, at the prompting level, and at the curation of the output. But yeah, certainly it's fantastic for, those quick, snappy sound bites. Like you said, captions and whatnot.
Okay. Yeah. So that's 2. So we've done overwrite.
Have we? Enough?
Have we? Is there more to say about it?
There is actually more to say about that, because we are actually we're about to release a product for real estate agents that will essentially be a virtual estate agent, like we were talking about earlier, handling that first line of defense in lead management, inbound lead management. And that's a really cool thing.
You heard it here first, guys.
That is actually true. You did hear it.
So I'm
not even sure I should have said it.
I've got the exclusive on this. Okay, tell us more.
Well, all right. Sure. 90% of estate agencies, in the markets that we're targeting are technologically inefficient, can use technology to enhance their operational efficiency and perform better, and ultimately improve their bottom line returns. So what we've built and what we are about to launch is a virtual real estate assistant. Multimodal, can be deployed in any medium that the estate agent or their agency communicates in, and basically helps agents manage inbound customer inquiries very easily, very efficiently, and then, like I said at the beginning of this, which is what AI is about, it allows them to focus on higher value tasks, because an agent eats what they kill, right? It's a commission-based role. They really, specifically for roles like that, the use of AI to focus on those higher value tasks is imperative. Otherwise, they spend a lot of their time wasted.
But I still don't know what it does.
There's only so much I can say right now.
Okay, so I haven't really got the exclusive on it. But something big is coming soon.
Something big is coming soon.
That's going to help real estate agents.
I'm not the marketing guy. I don't do the spin.
All right. So keep an eye out for Overwrite AI coming out with more
real estate agent-focused AI products that help agents and agencies focus on higher value tasks.
Can you just give us a clue on what problem it's going to solve?
Well, it's going to capture leads.
Okay, and that's a hot topic right now.
Absolutely. There isn't an estate agent or agency in the world that wouldn't like to be more efficient at capturing their leads and their inbound inquiry data. So we're helping with a very simple solution, easily adoptable, white labelable, helping them do so.
Okay. So we're going to maybe go for like the top 10 AI products that every real estate agent should have. I don't know if we're going to get to 10, but so let's start with one, Overwrite.
Well, see, Overwrite is actually more than one product.
So Overwrite, what's published already.
Suite of products,
And then number 2 is the to be revealed.
Yep.
Big promoters of that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll be back on the show when that's ready to talk about.
Please. I'd like the exclusive on that. Number 3, ChatGPT, of course.
Yep.
The mega AI platform.
Everybody's using it and learning how to best use it. Absolutely.
My number 4 is going to be Canva, Magic Design.
Yeah, see, I'm a big fan of Canva.
I think a huge fan of Canva.
100%. Somebody once asked me which startup I would have liked to have founded, and right up there at number 1.
I'm not sure I would have liked to have been a founder of Canva because I think, and maybe the number 5, which we're going to talk about afterwards, I think Microsoft Copilot is going to annihilate Canva.
Yeah, but that's not a startup. So the question is, which startup would you have liked to have founded?
I mean, I'd like to exit before Copilot comes out. I could have sold to Microsoft.
Canva's annihilated the graphic designer.
True.
So, Sil.
Hold on a second. We've just come back from a break, and he's now.
I've hijacked this.
He's hijacked. He's taken the card. He's gonna do the asking.
Yeah.
Asking.
There go the cards.
I need that. I need my show notes. Someone please.
We're gonna freestyle
it from now on.
I would like to know what you think is the difference between Generation Z real estate agents and millennial real estate agents, or even generation.
What am I?
We are.
I'm born in 1979.
So am I. So we're Generation X.
X.
Right at the tail end of X as millennials began.
Right.
So after us kind of came the millennials. We can relate. And after them came the Generation Zers.
Okay.
So your typical millennials are
20,
our friends here.
Early 20s.
Well, no, 30s for those who are
30s. Yeah.
And your Gen Zers are now in their mid 20s. Thereabouts, so 26 and down, I think, something like that. What do you think is the difference in the approach to of real estate agents to their profession by those who are, Gen Zers versus Millennials.
That's a great question.
I know. That's why I threw the cards away, right?
And
you might need them later. Go ahead.
I will need them.
Yeah.
And I think it's very in keeping with this conversation, because the striking difference between those two generations is the onset of technology and PropTech and AI advancements.
Yeah.
So we, Gen X, did you say?
We're Gen X.
Gen X.
Millennials,
So
Zers.
Gen X real estate agents, I was a Gen X real estate agent. I had to rely purely on my charisma, my personality, me. There was no lead generation as it is today. There were no marketing tools as there is today. There was no social media as there is today. There was no CRM as there is today. So our work was...
Just for our listeners, what is a CRM? Sorry.
Customer relationship management system. So it's more like a database, a software of your clients.
Fantastic. Thank you. Please continue.
Which should host all the information. We had a card like this for every single lead that we had.
Yep.
Okay, it would have the name on the top, their telephone
In a
number, which
Rolodex.
would not be a mobile number, which would be an office number or a home number.
Yep.
So if we couldn't get hold of them in the office, we had to wait till after 7 and catch them at home.
And I don't think in your day, if I may, there was no kind of
olden
there was
days.
no appreciation of the brand of you, the individual.
No.
Nor was there many mediums by which you could market yourself as an individual brand.
All we could do was advertise in the newspapers, and we'd advertise properties on the window card. So every office or every real estate company had a high street office, like a travel agency or a retail store. And you'd have a limited windows display where you'd have an A4 sheet of paper with 2 or 3 images of a property, a brief description, and the price. And you'd have to make that so attractive that someone would come in. And if you were a good real estate agent, a confident one, you would actually be told by your manager, go outside and collect that person who's browsing, grab them. So, you know, the methods that we used then do not apply now.
So should, and briefly before I move on to the other generations, should Generation X real estate agents who've been in the game for long enough to be career real estate agents by now, is it a case of they have to adapt to today's practices and embrace today's technologies to survive?
Absolutely.
Or can they continue to be as they were within reason?
So they can retain the personality, the charisma, and all that made them successful at the beginning of their career. Now life is made so much easier. They have so many tools available to them to do what they do, to complement what they do way better.
There's also
So
the
they're
trade-off.
an
I mean, they're
advantage.
also, they have
I mean,
wisdom.
I swear to God, if I went back into being a real estate agent right now, I would smash it.
Would you slay?
I would slay. We just learned that word. Well, he just learned that word. And he asked me, why did you say slay and not slay it? Because it's just butchering of
It's the English
language.
language, which is why we use generative AI to help us.
Not butcher.
But okay, so then back to still on the generational thing. I'll tell you what I see. Generational shifts, you know, they're applicable at the broader level of humanity and society, and also at the more compartmentalized level, like real estate
Stop using
agencies.
such big words. Let's bounce.
What, 5 or 6 syllables?
Compartmentalize it.
Okay. I think that, for example, you know, millennials embraced social media. It was native to them. I think that the shift, the difference between millennials in real estate agency and Gen Zers who came after, around 26 and younger, is that there is this greater tendency amongst Gen Zers to work together, to cooperate. And real estate agency...
Gen Z is who?
Gen Z are the more recent ones. So my daughter over there is right at the tail end of them. It's basically 26 and younger, I think, around there. So estate agents who are in that, who've come into the job, the work environment in the last 8 or so years, are more cooperative amongst each other, probably less competitive, because there was a generational shift towards working together that we saw in Gen Z, and and that willingness to therefore share information, share data, use technology, give technology the information that they need in order for it to give them the benefits of it. We're seeing obviously Gen Z shift towards the use of AI and other property technologies faster than ever before. So I think that in real estate, in the real estate agency industry, Gen Zers, we see a higher adoption rate of both artificially intelligent and non-AI prop techs.
Wait, Gen Z is who?
Gen Zers are roughly, and forgive me for getting this slightly wrong, but around 26 years of age and younger. So those who've come into the work environment in the last 5 to 8 years or so. Whereas millennials are now in their 30s, 26 to 40-ish. So there's a greater adoption of property technologies, be they artificially intelligent or not, amongst Gen Zers than there was amongst millennials. Millennials rushed to embrace and gave rise to the phenomenon that is social media.
All right. Well, that will take us on to the point that you made about Gen Z being more public about their personal information or, you know, their profiles, and, you know, they're very much on social media. That will lead on to my product 6, or, you know, AI 6. We're going back to this. My 6th favorite AI tool is Luca.com, or any of the other website builders. Now, why I say this is relevant to real estate agents, because this is quite common practice in Australia and the US, where real estate agents have their own websites. I'm surprised I haven't seen any regional real estate agents with their own website. Maybe one or two, you know, top sellers, but it's something that I think, you know, instead of having a CV, or to complement your CV, everyone should have their own website. I've got silviaeldawi.com. Don't worry, it's not doing anything, but I've sat on that domain. Everyone should go out and buy their domain name. Don't have to build your website immediately, but there are tools that can allow you to build your personal, professional website within 10 minutes. Like literally, that's how quick you can build a website.
Really? Yeah. I think that it is certainly important in the residential real estate agency game to build up a personal brand. Again, I'm not an estate agent, so I'm a few steps removed from the nuances of that business. But you mentioned something about why it's not done here. It's done widely in Australia. Because in the US, for example, the business model of real estate agency and sales is very much that the broker is a licensed independent business that works for an organization.
But it's the same here, really, isn't it?
Here, it's, there's a few fundamentals in the economics of residential real estate agency here that differ from the rest of the world, that give rise to the practices that we see in this market. Today, in a market where it's the landlord who's trying to rent their property, appoints agents to lease it for them. I'm a prospecting tenant. I'm looking for a property to rent, right? You've been through this experience lately. I don't know how many times you would have suffered it, but I would maybe go and view properties. Some of them I've seen before, some of them are no longer available. I'd even get to the point of making an offer to rent a property in the hope that, because I've liked it. I've spent my time going to see it, and I've liked it, and I can see myself and my family or my moving into it, only to be told it's no longer on the market. It's been rented. Well, why was that not told to me before I spent my time and my emotions investing into viewing and offering that property and deciding on it? That inefficiency has cost me time, has cost me emotion, has cost me maybe other opportunities that I passed on.
Yeah.
Right? That inefficiency has affected me as a consumer. That inefficiency wouldn't exist if there was a single agent, or if the landlord was paying the agent the commission, because then the landlord appoints an agent and treats that relationship with respect, entertains offers only through that agent, that agent controls the viewing process and controls and funnels to the landlord in a pragmatic and what's the word?
It doesn't solve the problem though, because in the UK, where the landlord or the seller pays the agency fee, they still can appoint multiple agents, and in many cases they do appoint up to 3, and you do end up with that scenario where I make an offer, and then you go and find out when you're putting that offer forward that one of the other agents has already rented it or sold it. So I don't think that's the PropTech company's job. It's a problem, yes. It is. I don't think it's something that they can solve for. That's a real estate agent's role to confirm before the viewing. You know, hey, Mr. Landlord, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm about to do a viewing. Just checking it's still available.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. It's not the PropTech's job to solve for that problem. What the phenomenon does create is the gap into which the PropTech tries to fit, right? But the problem in its essence starts from there being this issue that it's not a controlled marketing process. The marketing of property needs to be controlled between they who own the asset and they who are tasked by the owner to market it for them.
But there's still a multiple listing phenomenon that happens, you know.
Even then, it's controlled. The party tasked with marketing the property is acting in the interests of who? Even in the scenario where you have multiple agents tasked with marketing it, if they're all appointed by the landlord and are being remunerated by the landlord, it's the landlord's interests they're serving. And so when they're appointed by a landlord but they're being remunerated by a tenant, there's this dichotomy of interests that creates an inefficiency.
I agree.
Right?
I do agree. It's a bit...
It is an odd one, isn't it?
It's an unfair distribution.
You've seen that as a tenant, right? Haven't you?
Yeah. I'm just trying to work out how you answered my question about real estate agents having their own website. And then we went into...
You can do that in post.
How did we get it?
Do that in post,
right?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know how we got
would you recommend personal websites, professional websites? Would you recommend a real estate agent have their own domain?
So you were earlier talking about what it was like for you when you were as a Gen Xer being a real estate agent in the earlier days of your career, how you would put the property listing ads up literally in shop windows, right? We'd walk down the high street in the UK, in London, most places in the world, and kind of stop and see what's advertised. The modern day equivalent of that, the digital modern day equivalent of that is your property portal.
Correct.
So the property portal today dominates the lead capturing funnel. And estate agents pay homage, literally, to the thousands or tens of thousands of dirhams a month, dollars a month, to the portals. Should estate agents and agencies try to claw back ownership of the leads? I think you will find that 100% of them will say absolutely yes. Is the creation of their own personalized branded websites a part of that clawback process? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you could ever compete with, my SilviaEldawi.com could never compete with Property Finder or Beirut.com. But it's more a kind of digital CV, shall we say.
I don't think you would need to compete. Let's say I'm a consumer who is looking to buy a property and Silvia Eldawi has helped me. I found Silvia through a portal. If I want to recommend Silvia to a friend in 6 months, in a year, in a day, it's easy for me to say to them, check out Silvia's website. Talk to Silvia. This is her website URL, and I'll send it to them on a WhatsApp. And so Silvia is easily contactable that way. Silvia can then represent herself to that person that I'm referring her on to.
And write blogs and things, articles.
Exactly. And that person I'm referring her on to can decide, well, I like Silvia's attitude. I like the way she presents herself. I like what she writes about.
She's got lots of FAQs and
she's engaging with the people that have engaged
all of her
on
listings, all of her past listings.
So Silvia hasn't competed with aforesaid portals. Silvia has just taken this opportunity to communicate her professionalism or lack therein to the world. Do you know what I mean?
All right, I've got 2 more.
Go
on the top of my head, and you may have some more. I don't think we're going to get to 10. We'll get to 8. There's Murph.ai. So for those of you who don't like the sound of your own voice, and most people don't like the
Is it
sound of their
Merc.ai?
Huh?
Merc.ai?
No,
You might wanna
Murph,
edit that one out.
MURF.ai.
Merc it.
It's like a video voiceover production. You kind of tell it what to say, and an AI bot produces the speech. And you can use that for your social media.
I can't really comment on that one. I don't know anything about
I think
Murph.ai.
it's
There
in my
are a lot of
top 8.
PropTechs that are mutton dressed as lamb purporting to be artificially intelligent. I can't endorse anybody but those that I've actually experienced.
Okay.
And in my opinion, do indeed use artificial intelligence to power their processes. But AI in itself it is not a solution. It's a means to an end. It's a tool by which a solution is arrived at.
But I think that's a good tool.
That one?
You can.
I can't comment.
Like
I don't know.
voiceovers. A lot of real estate agents aren't quite comfortable getting in front of camera.
Yeah.
You know, so this is a way for you to get your point across with
Real
someone
estate agents
else's-
aren't comfortable getting in front of cameras. Well, they're in the wrong line of work. They got
many
self-promotion,
of
and this
them.
is what Silvia Eldawi and PROPOLOGI will do: is help them to get there. Because there's not a single estate agent, in my opinion, that shouldn't be confident and comfortable enough to get in front of the camera on stage in front of people.
They are. And there's one lady I was coaching the other day, and she was like, I know that the way forward is social media. I just can't get onto it. I'm embarrassed what my friends are going to think or what people are going to think. And I was like, listen, nobody who's doing better than you, or nobody who's kind of higher up, not higher up, but no one who's more successful than you is gonna laugh or you know, no one's gonna.
I mean, as a general rule of thumb, we're all humans. Nobody's better than the other.
Yeah.
Right? So she in that
But she
case?
is stopping her from posting because she's concerned about what people think. And I'm like, what's it? The lion doesn't care about what the sheep's opinion. That's the point I was trying to
So
make.
I'm going to devil's advocate. What was it? Merc.ai?
Murph, MURF.
Keep going back to Merc.
Merc.
Edit Merc out because it's not actually.
It's
rude.
London slang for what you're doing to this podcast at the moment.
Slay.
No, that wasn't in the right place, but go on.
Cringe.
That was in the right place. It's very expensive
What is?
running a real estate company.
No, I don't believe
It's
so. I think
super
it's only
expensive.
expensive because of the exorbitant cost of publishing on portals.
True. So that's a big chunk of,
That is
but
huge.
also lead generation is a huge expense. Payroll, huge expense.
You see, I think lead generation is going to change in nature anyway, because there isn't a single person I speak to in the consumer audience for residential real estate, right? By which I mean the people who are out there trying to buy or rent property, who go onto portals, and the portals are going to love me for this, but whatever, it's the truth. There isn't a single person out there that doesn't find the experience of searching for property through portals painful. Absolutely painful. And every consumer out there is aware of the fact that the portals aren't doing enough to reduce that pain.
I'm going to put a caveat on that because I think the process for me is quite enjoyable. The process of searching is quite enjoyable. The usability of these portables is top notch.
Okay.
The problem is when I then go to contact the real estate agent.
That's part of the pain, though.
But that's not their, is that their responsibility?
No, but it is a painful experience because when you contact the agent, let's say you do manage to contact the agent, there isn't a day that goes by when I'm not being told by somebody that
It's no longer available.
It's an agent taking me to see a property that I've already seen through another agent. Right? So the portals are doing the best job they can, but it's still a painful experience for the consumers.
Yeah.
Right? And so lead generation is therefore inefficient in one way or another. And that's what we're trying to solve for.
There is AI being used to enhance or Photoshop.
Editing,
Which is
I think is what you're talking
That's
about.
not AI. Is it AI or?
It
just
can be, like you
technology.
touched on Canva earlier in its magic suite. What Canva can help you do is if your image happens to be, if it happens to have an object in it, it can help you remove that object by predicting what should be behind it and replace, I don't know what's it
Replace
called,
it.
magic eraser?
Magic design. Wait, I've got 9 and 10.
Yeah.
9, Calendly. I don't know if that's classed as AI
That is
though.
not AI.
Okay, Calendly for scheduling.
No,
I love it.
it's a good tool, but it's not AI.
Okay, there are some AI parts of it. Does kind of send emails after appointments and things.
It's computational, but it's not AI.
Okay.
AI is when it's
All right,
cognitive,
scrap
it's sentient, it's doing what it does because it's learned that it needs to do what it does for itself.
There was one more.
So I'm curious about your notes because you
That's
haven't
it.
actually.
Captions, the app. I mean, that's AI because it hears what's being said. It converts
Text,
the audio into
speech to text.
captions.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we got to 10 maybe. For now,
Did
we
throw
can
you off in the
reshoot.
process?
We could reshoot again in a year, and maybe there's going to be a top 20 for
Do
real
you
estate
think-
agents. But I do think we've covered the main.
Do you think that the business of estate agencies and agents, importantly, right? Because they drive each other. Estate agencies can improve agents' behavior and professionalism, and vice versa, by demanding from the agents, agency owners, professionalism. Do you think? I want to hear you talk. Do you think that it's improving and changing fast enough?
I think we're a bit slow
Okay.
compared to other industries.
Okay.
That's all. That's
What
all.
would you say needs to change?
I think the way that real estate agents are remunerated
Okay.
plays a massive factor into the behaviors that lead us to where we are today.
Okay.
That's one big difference I see between UK and UAE.
Go on. Can you expand
Elaborate?
on that? Yes.
And I can't tell you which one is better, to be honest.
Let's start by explaining to our audience
The
what the difference is exactly.
Okay, so in the
Your
UK,
audience, not ours.
in the UK, you are hired as a real estate agent.
Yeah.
You go through an interview process and you are working for the brand. You're paid a chunky salary by the brand. So they're very selective about who they hire. There is no selectivity, very little selectivity here because there's no basic salaries here. Because 80% of the monthly income of a UK real estate agent comes from their basic salary, they are an employee of the brand that they work for.
Okay.
They get all the support, administrative and so on, and they have to be in at certain times. It's, very corporate,
Right.
9 till 6.
Yep.
On the weekends, you have to work. You have to behave in a certain way. You have to abide by our standard operating procedures and rules
Yep.
and regulations, all with the brand.
Yeah.
And the clients are the brand's clients, not the agent's clients.
Yeah.
And then you make commission on everything that you do.
Like a bonus in a corporate world.
And and if you don't perform, they might give you longer than 6 months but you
see
generally,
it, yeah.
once you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
Here, you're just like a freelance, effectively. Your license is under a brokerage. We don't pay your basic salary. You eat what you kill.
Yeah.
And if you don't kill anything, it doesn't make any difference to me. So there is a need here to be more independent and to have it's more appropriate here to have your own website. In the UK, your brand might actually stop you from having your own website, saying it's a conflict of interest. No, you work for us. You should not have your own personal website. But here, I think it's more needed.
So the problem of how agents are remunerated, as you say, if it were to change, it would improve.
First of all, there wouldn't be as many real estate agents. That's
Right.
for sure.
Right.
The
So-
brokerages would be a lot more selective on
Yeah.
who they have representing them.
Yeah. And so maybe some of the inefficiencies that consumers face of
Would be
duplicate
eliminated.
listings would be eliminated. Do you advocate for this through PROPOLOGI? Like when you speak to your customers, the agents, the agency owners and management that you talk to, do you
Not
feel
really,
this is a
because
resonating story?
there are some agencies that pay basic salaries for the first 3 to 6 months, and actually, from what I've seen, is any of the companies that are paying agents basic salaries, those agents aren't making any commissions.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, you're better off hiring someone who's hungry for it.
Yeah.
because it doesn't seem to be working with a small basic salary.
Yeah.
They're not producing any sales.
And I think the nuances of living in Dubai, where you have so many upfront costs, visa fees, or the need to get an auto loan because there's public transport isn't in that line of work. You need to be mobile, and you can't get a car loan without a minimum salary threshold being met. It's kind of some agencies slip through those cracks and fall foul of the challenges of the real world, and lifestyle here in Dubai. And I think what you're referring to ultimately is you are in your way at the moment looking for the inefficiencies and trying to solve for them as well. And that's all that we in the PropTech industry, which is what this episode's about, are also trying to do. We're all looking for efficiencies where inefficiencies exist, identified to each of us through our own experiences in the past. In my case, speaking personally, the first product suite out of the overwrite stables was this generative AI that writes real estate listing descriptions that are nuanced to this market, not generic, not irrelevant. And I came upon that idea because, frankly, I found that, hey, the quality of listings when I was buying or leasing my properties, the quality of listing descriptions didn't really meet the standard I would have liked for my properties when I would appoint agents. And it was enough. There was enough volume to justify applying an intelligent automation AI too. In your way, you're solving an inefficiency, and I think that the other technologies, AI or not, they're also doing the same. And you've identified some good ones, and I'm sure your audience would like to hear more from you about others.
Well, as I discover them, I will share them.
Yeah.
And I definitely think we're in for an interesting season, because we're going to have some very special guests coming on, apart from you.
I'm not the special one. I'm
You're
just
the first special
opening
guest.
the gate for the special ones.
But yeah, there's so many, not just applications and products and AI. I think there's going to be another AI episode, but not necessarily in your space. But there's a lot of PropTech startups that are here to complement the role of brokerages and real estate agents. And you can earn money from it. It's an additional income. Some of them have products where they'll incentivize you.
Yeah.
And I feel that there's a good I think 36% of the real estate agents out there right now have less than a year's experience.
Yep.
So my thing right now is, having come from a real estate agency background and dipped my toes into PropTech with my own PropTech startup, I see that they both have to work side by side. You cannot, agents have to know about your product. They're the ones in the coal face. Is that what?
The coal face.
Coal face.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones in the coalface. They're the ones speaking to the buyers, tenants, sellers. So they should be your biggest ambassadors. So this season is all about telling you about all the local, regional PropTech companies that are making waves in our industry.
Yeah.
And what's in it for you as a real estate agent. Not only what's in it for your client, but what's in it for you.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you for bringing these technologies to the fore with your podcast.
Thank you. It's
Thanks
my
for
pleasure.
having me.
It's been great.
If I can leave you with one key takeaway, though, on the AI thing and even just PropTechs in general, it's all about, again, efficiency, delivering efficiency so that agents can focus on their higher value tasks and pass the lower value tasks onto tech.
Correct. Because let's be honest, an agent is not expected to be great at administration, great at selling, great at attention to detail. Yeah. There's only so much you can be great at. Exactly. So focus on doing what you do well.
Yeah.
Leave the other stuff for AI technology.
100%.
Thank you for staying tuned. We hope you stay tuned for the upcoming season, where we're going to talk about PropTech, more AI, technology, and how your lives can be made so much easier with technology.
Nice.
Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. All right.